everybody, my name is Robin and welcome to my channel BirdsEyeStitches. This is a channel about cross stitch, so if you are new here then welcome. I hope you are here because you have a love of cross stitch like I do, and if you're returning then also welcome. I know you are here because you have a love of cross stitch like I do, because that is pretty much all we do here. We talk a tiny little bit about life. We talk for a little while about cross stitch, usually stuff I'm working on and then stuff I purchased, and that's pretty much it. So new or returning, thank you so much for being here and for just choosing to spend a little bit of your day with me, enjoying the hobby. Okay, let's see. Today is Sunday. It is September 19th. If it is any indicator on how this video is going to go, I have already schwacked myself in the head with my ring light. So I was setting up, I went to put the ring light up, and I realized that the ring light, you could lift it up high. So I was like, oh, let's try that. So I lifted, so the ring light's on the stand. So I lifted it up like this, and then the top of the ring light, I didn't know it, but it folds down. So I lifted the stand up, and then I'm standing in front of it, and the ring light fell down, and it schwacked me right in the forehead. So you can't really see it now, but before I got in the shower, I had a pretty good welt going on right there. The things that we do for our Flosstube, right? It's okay. Okay, you all did not come here to stare at my forehead. You came to stare at stitching. So let's get to stitching. It's gonna be a pretty quick video today. I do have some stuff to show, whips, tiny little bit of haul. I'm starting a little bit later in the day than normal, and I still need to make a Sunday Costco run, you know, all the errands. So we'll jump right in. Okay, first thing that I worked on a couple weeks ago, I think it's been 2 weeks since I filmed last, so which is probably why I have a decent stack to show. The first thing I did was I worked on my HAED. So I have one HAED. I would love to have a whole bunch of HAEDs. I'd love to have them all over the place, but well, they're HAEDs and they're full coverage and they're giant and they're glorious, but I've yet to get past the first little section of mine. So this is the one that I'm working on. It is Mini Bitter Half. Sorry, I just have this tiny little picture of it, but if you couldn't tell from my tattoo, this is actually really funny because I've owned this for a couple of years now, and my tattoo is not as old, but it's got a very similar feel. So where the tree, it's got the dual sides, the light and the dark half, all of that good stuff. My tattoo is actually very similar, so who knew? Maybe it inspired it, I don't know. Anyway, I restarted it because I just didn't like the way that it was feeling on the old fabric. So the first time that I stitched this piece, I started it really, really low on the fabric, and I was too paranoid. I measured and I counted. I mean, I really sat there and counted all the way down stitch by stitch. And if I counted right, it was like this close to the bottom. I'm talking a 1/4 inch. And that's to the bottom of the fabric. That included the seamed area. So I couldn't even imagine doing that much work on a HAED of all things, or just really anything full coverage, just to get to the bottom and then run out of fabric. No. So I got a new piece of fabric, and it was a 25 count, and I was doing it 2/1 full cross. And it kind of with the hark piece that I was doing in the last video on that 40 count gauze, I start to feel claustrophobic when my stitches are all close together, which obviously they're going to be if it's a full coverage. And by using the 2 strands of floss, they were just kind of bulky, and they just felt like I need to let them breathe. I don't know. So I was gonna switch it and just do one strand full cross, but when I was trying to frog it, it is way too hard to frog a full coverage piece, especially where I only had a little bit. I was like, no. So I'm gonna reuse that fabric for something else, but I had a piece of 22 count fabric. So I switched to a 22 count fabric. I just did a tiny little bit because I just wanted to see how this was going to work, because this Heaven and Earth Designs piece, it's on my ABCINGO board quite a bit, and I wanted to make sure that the way I had it set up would actually work. So let's see. It's kind of giant. I'm trying to figure out the best way to show this to you. Okay, so I started with these top rows doing 2/1 full cross on a 22 count. And it laid fine and it felt okay, but it still felt a little bit that face. It felt like that face. So I switched and I started to do 2/1 tent stitch, which thank you to the subscriber who told me that's what that is called. So 2/1 tent stitch is going on this bottom row. And I know that you can tell right now because I'm holding it really close and it's obvious because that's all that's there. But I feel like once I add a whole bunch more, nobody's ever going to notice the difference there. So I'm leaving it. I'm going to stitch the rest of this piece 2/1 on a 22 count tent stitch. And I'm looking forward to seeing it grow. So no longer feeling claustrophobic. Feels pretty good. If someone's really going to try to like screen grab this and stitch the top 4 rows of this piece, I don't think so. So anyway, one day it's going to be done. Probably not for about 5 years, but it is on my ABCINGO board at least 4 times. So progress will be made eventually. Okay, the other piece that is on my ABCINGO board quite a bit, and it's the reason why I'm a little bit behind because I started it late. But I started it finally this morning. So we'll just hold it up here. This guy here is I call it the Majestic unicorn. Looks like this. This is on my ABCINGO board, I think 5 times. So 2 weeks ago when I filmed, I had stitched the J, E, A, and R of ABCINGO. The next letter that we called was K. So this unicorn piece, I put it on there and I said K because to me, unicorns are like king and queen. It's on there, unicorn, king. Really, I'm just trying to put some actual work into this piece. So I did the back stitch on the head. So I still need to back stitch the eye and the nostril. There's also a bead that goes here. There's some beads that need to be put in up along the top as well. But I finally pulled this guy back out. I worked on it during the Zoom meeting this morning. So it took me a little bit longer than normal, probably, because you're Zooming, but I didn't mess up. So I was excited about that because it was backstitch. So yeah, backstitch the head, got a little bit more of this blue done. This has been called, let's see, I have this one down for X as well as for Q and for U unicorn, obviously. And those have all been called. So essentially my plan, this is gonna stay out for 3 more hours today. So I should have some decent progress to show you all next video. For those of you who have not seen this one, this unicorn is from the Ultimate Cross Stitch Christmas Volume 7, 2015. Looks like this. And it will one day look like this. So this is one that I started stitching a couple of years ago for my daughter, who at the time was super into unicorns. She's not so into unicorns anymore, but it's a really pretty piece. And I do not feel claustrophobic when I'm stitching this piece, probably because I'm stitching it over 2, so it doesn't feel all like that. But excited to see this one come to life a little bit more. I have been backstitching as I go for the most part. I'm gonna backstitch the legs here just because I've done all of this stitching. So that way that will be a little bit more defined, and then I'm really gonna focus on this front half here. So you will see that in the very near future. Man, that HAED is so big. I set it down on the floor next to me, and it's the 17 by 17 Q snap, and it is so big, like everything can just sit on top of it. I mean, I don't recommend using it as a table, but feel like I could. I'm not going to, or I might have to start for a 4th time. Anyway. Okay, the next one, so that was the K. The next one that was called was the letter N, like Nancy, or N, like Nora Corbett. This is my N piece. It is Leo. You guys saw this one when I was stitching it for R. It was my R because Ronnie from Sunshine Stitchers is also stitching it. I am stitching mine on a piece of 32 count Dead Sea Scroll linen from Seraphim Fabrics, and we are here. I love this linen. I think it's a really pretty color. It's nice for this piece. And last time you guys saw this, this little area here was done. I stitched some more, all of this down here, right here. This was just 1 hour's worth. Now, typically I do cross-country stitch a little bit. I would not normally just stick with this one color all the way down in here. Fingers crossed that I counted correctly or close enough to correctly for me. I had to though. I started stitching and I took out my Garand bag, and I put up a post about this on Facebook. And so any of you guys who have cats probably completely understand, but I took my bag out, I sat it down on the table next to me, and of course my cat, who saw the bag, came running because she was like, it's time for me to take a nap and that's where I want to sleep. So she came running, she jumped on the bag, and that's where she slept for like 4 hours. So I had this color already out. So I just kept stitching in that one color because I didn't want to wake my cat, because you don't really wake up cats once they fall asleep. So I know better. I should have pulled out the flosses first, but anyway. I think it's fine. I feel good about my counting. We'll see. So, got to there. This one is on the ABCINGO board, I think one other time. It'll stay in my rotation though, just because I've been buying all of these and I really want to stitch them all. So, I got to finish this one first. Okay, next up, let's see. So the next letter that was called was Z. I haven't done that one yet. My Z is the temperature tree, and I put that in for Z because my friend Carolyn sees Zook Stitch, Z for Zook. It was her that was stitching the temperature tree all last year that really inspired me to stitch it this year. So I just haven't pulled it out yet. So I could not cross that one off my board, unfortunately. Then letter Y. Okay, so my letter Y was hummingbirds. And I chose that because there's all these yellow flowers. So this is the piece that I'm stitching. This one is already done by my husband's grandmother. I'm stitching this one to be a companion with it, and then I'll get them both framed. So all of these yellow flowers inspired me to make this one the letter Y. It is Birds of a Feather by Monarch Horizons. That. Last time you guys saw this, because I made it letter A for heirloom, because I forgot how to spell temporarily. So last time you guys saw it, I had done this branch in the bottom of this hummingbird. We are now here. This is stitched 2/1. It's just a 14 count light blue Aida, Charles Craft, I believe. And I'm doing the back stitch as I go. Turning out beautifully. So everything is called for, all DMC. This is a really quick stitch. So it takes me about, I mean, I'm not the fastest stitcher, so this bird took me probably 2.5 to 3 hours. So there's a fair amount of color changes going on in each one of these. It's not terrible, but there's probably 9 colors in this bird, 9 to 10. Not awful, but quite a few for how small they are. Anyway, this one will stay on my rotation. I don't know if it's on my ABCINGO board, but I'm really trying to get through 1 bird a week. So I'm already a little bit behind because it took me the 2-week period to do this guy, just because I've been stitching everything else. So try to get it back in there for regular use so I can do the 1 bird a week, because there's a bunch of hummingbirds in this thing, and I just want to see it done. So, okay, last but not least, we are flying right through 15 minutes in, and this is the last piece. My goodness. Okay, last one was the letter O. So letter O for me was Owl Forest Embroideries piece. I showed you guys this one in my haul recently. Let's see here. Okay, I picked up the Owl Forest Embroidery kit. It's the snail house. I think it was like Lily of the Valley or something like that. My daughter chose this one because where she used to be really into unicorns, now she's really into snails. So we have this. She's also really into greens and browns. So she chose this one. It's like all of her favorite things mixed together. So I had never actually stitched with an Owl Forest kit. I've stitched some of their charts, but it's been like, I just buy the chart. I feel like I will never do that again. I got the kit and I opened it up, and I haven't stitched with this color yet, so I can show it to you. So for those of you who have not stitched an Owl Forest kit, it comes to you, first of all, their floss is gorgeous, but their floss is attached to a little bobbin with an owl, which is super cute. And then they put the symbol on the bobbin. So number one, great idea. I know a lot of you guys will write it on there. I love the idea. But my favorite part, I really love to wind the floss around the bobbin. I don't do it when I start a project. I usually wait until the project is over, and then I get really excited about the cleanup part, because I will take the floss that I didn't use and I will bobbinate it. So, and then whenever I pull a new project, I go to my bobbinated floss first, because those are skeins that are not brand new. Like, they're the ones that I've already used, and so I know it's not a full skein. And I try to use that up first before I go into, I just have like Ziploc bags that are in numerical order for my DMC anyway. And so I know where to find each color if I have it, but I always go to the bobbinated part first. Anyway, these allow me to bobbinate at the beginning. So it's like it mixes the part that I really enjoy, which is the bobbinating part, with the stitching, if that makes sense. I don't know. I have a weird brain. It's glorious. So I got really excited every time I went to another color with these, and I just found myself wanting to stitch and stitch, because the floss is just, it really glides through the fabric, and it's so pretty. Like, there's a lot of variegation to it, but it's not extreme. See, this is like the brown green. It works really nicely together. Okay. That's a lot of talking about Owl Forest, but I do recommend. Would purchase again. Let's see. Okay, so this is obviously more than an hour worth of work, because I was just really excited about it. I am through this whole area of the house. Got these two. I still have this little bit to fill in, but pretty good piece of the house done. So we are there. This one will stay in my rotation simply because I like it. I like working with it. So I say, this has inspired me to only purchase Owl Forest kits in the future. If it comes as a kit, I'm gonna save up and get it that way, just so I can have more of their glorious floss. But I really like this one. I actually went on, I purchased this one from 1884 Stitchery, I think is what it's called, because she gets the Owl Forest kits. She actually, her shop, I think she just works out of her home, but her shop, it's in my area-ish. So if I order from her, she has it packaged and shipped like same day, and then it's to me like the next day or the day after. So it's like Amazon for cross stitch. So anyway, she gets Owl Forest kits, so that's usually where I watch first. But I'll be watching for future ones. I went on there to pick up the other two snail kits. I think she only had one of them, so I might wait. I'll wait till I finish this one and then see where we're at. So, okay, that was it for the stitching. What do I have next? I have a little bit of haul. So haul. I got some mail from my friend Carolyn, BirdsEyeStitches. She showed this in one of her Flosstube videos. It is the Bling Tree Sampler by the Victoria Sampler. Looks like this. As you know from my last video, I am in love with Victoria Sampler. One day I'm going to stitch all of them. One day. But Carolyn showed this one. I could order the chart, but I couldn't get all of the bling, and you know, what's the point in Bling Tree without the bling? So she went to her local LNS and she picked up the whole thing for me. She just, you know, paid for it, picked it up, mailed it over. It has arrived. So thank you, Carolyn, for doing that for me. And this is me added to the stash. I am going to start this year. It'll probably be, I don't know, November or so. It will not be ready by this Christmas, maybe next Christmas, but I'm really excited for it. I love Christmas trees. I will probably not stitch all of this. It's just gonna be the tree and this and this. Yep, that is what's going to happen. But that was exciting. And then last thing that I purchased, I was on the Lindy Stitches website. Sorry for the zipper. And I was just looking to see, you know, her new charts for market. I like this one, obviously, because I purchased it. But I will show you why I purchased it here in just a moment. So she has turkeys. I do like the turkeys. I love the bright colors. It says autumn strolls make thankful souls, which I do agree with. So she showed this and I really liked it. But then I went on her website because I was just gonna kind of go on there, look at it, maybe star it, write it down for later because I didn't really need to stitch it right this moment. But then I saw if you purchased it as a kit, you could get it in a kit with, obviously we have the fancy flosses, which this is like fall in a bundle. Obviously it's fall turkey, so that totally makes sense, but we have fall in a bundle. Some finishing rickrack stuff, which I don't actually have any clue where this is used. Like, I don't think that they use it here. Do you see this? I don't see this. I don't know. But you could always use some pretty black and white rickrack, right? But the reason why I purchased it is because there was a bag. And look at this bag. I mean, seriously. I have all of those squirrel designs that I need to stitch. Acorns. This is a bag by the 805 Stitcher. So it's got the clear front. It's got a cute pattern in the back. It's got a little acorn zipper pull. See that? Super cute. But this is just one of those things where like the bag sold me. So yeah, get in my cart, take my money, pick this up. I don't know when I'm gonna stitch it. I'm gonna use this acorn bag like right away, but I kept it all together for this. So receive that. Oh, and she threw in a caramel apple pop, which, do you guys remember these? This was like my favorite thing to get from the ice cream man when I was a kid. Like in high school at lunchtime, we had an ice cream truck that would come by. I got these like every day. So I'm going to eat this now after the video. So that was super nice. Anyway, that is it. That wraps this up. 24 minutes, nice and short. I gotta go make a quick Costco run because we have like no food in this house. So I went out of town last weekend, which was really fun, but now, like this weekend, I spent it doing chores and stitching, but doing chores, trying to find my house, and now I gotta go find food. So that's the plan. Costco run, Majestic unicorn. I will see you guys in 2 weeks, maybe a week, but probably 2 weeks. And that's all I got. Happy stitching. See you next time. Bye.